Welcome to Living a Graceful Life. I'm your host, Denise Medved, and I'm also the creator and founder of the Ageless Grace Brain Health Program worldwide. Welcome to the show, and we have a wonderful evening planned for you in this episode. My guest today is Sherry Keating, and she is a speaker, and she is a diabetes expert, and she has her own company called Diabetes Care Consulting. But before we go to her, I just want to let you know that both of us are here tonight to remind you that it's never too late to begin making choices to create the life that you want to live. So, Sherry is going to be talking about brain health and how what's on the end of your fork actually does affect your brain health. Sherry, welcome to the show.
Denise, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here tonight to share this education with the viewers. So thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. So, it's so interesting. I know we're talking about brain health and we're talking about what's on the end of your fork. So I kind of would like to share one of my favorite quotes, and it's from Dr. Ann Wigmore. And I want everyone to listen to what I'm saying. Food can either be the safest, most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. Talk about a powerful statement, because food is connected to not only brain health, but our overall health. So what we put in our mouth and what choices that we make really affect our longevity and our quality of life, right?
Absolutely. That's for sure. And I think some people don't have any idea how much it affects your brain health. So is there a correlation? How is there a correlation between what we eat and how healthy our brain is?
Well, let's talk a minute about the brain. We know the brain works 24/7. We know it needs the highest quality fuel. So, the food that we eat, the nutrients that are in that food is what fuels our brain. So, if we are putting high quality food into our body, then we are going to have optimal brain functioning, and our brain is going to have lower risk of cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's disease. And what's good for the brain is good for the body. So we're also going to have a healthier heart, and we're just going to have a lower risk of a lot of chronic diseases. As you know, I'm a certified diabetes care and education specialist, and a diabetes prevention life coach. So what we know from science is that when we have diabetes and we are not controlling our blood sugar, we have a higher risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And so, food is going to affect all of these things: risk of chronic disease, brain health, and overall body health. So there is actually 3 diets that have actually been shown to have positive benefits for our brain. Some of them you may have heard of, some of you may not have. The first one is the Mediterranean diet, and I'm sure you and everybody else has heard of this diet. We
Yes.
know it's from the Mediterranean countries. And you know what I love? I actually have been to Tuscany, and they know how to eat, Denise. The food is so fresh. They eat very mindfully. So they're enjoying every course over long periods of time. I'm not used to eating that mindfully and that slowly, but the food is local, it's fresh, it's high in olive oil, it's high in legumes and fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and nuts. So it's actually voted the #1 healthy diet. So now we turn to the DASH diet. And the DASH diet is dietary approaches to stop high blood pressure. So this is a diet specifically for people at risk or living with high blood pressure or hypertension. And the foods kind of look like the dietary guidelines, my plate. So you would have fruits and vegetables and whole grains. You would have low fat dairy and lean protein, including nuts, poultry, and fish. Both of those diets have been shown to slow or improve cognitive decline and lower your risk of Alzheimer's. But now let's bring in the third diet, which I am so excited about. And you and I actually have a program about, and it's called the Mind Diet. So it's specifically a diet that's shown to protect our brain from brain aging, from cognitive decline, from damage, and a lot of other things. So the Mind Diet is a hybrid diet between the Mediterranean and the DASH diet. So it was actually founded by Dr. Martha Claire Morris, and she had done two major studies. And these studies were done at Rush University in Chicago. And what the findings was that there is a link between diet, brain aging, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, and dementia. So she did another study called the Mind Diet Trial. And what she found was that she literally took 10 foods that were brain healthy out of the Mediterranean and the DASH diet and 5 not so brain healthy foods, and she came up with this Mind Diet. So she started looking at questionnaires from one of the previous studies that she had done. And there were about 923 people. They were age 58 to 98, and they had no dementia. And she started looking at how often they ate these 10 brain healthy foods and how often they limited these 5 brain unhealthy foods. And what she found is that the people that really stuck to eating the brain healthy foods in a certain serving, a certain number of days a week, and limited the 5 brain unhealthy foods, Denise, you're not going to believe this, 53% reduction in Alzheimer's disease.
Wow, that's amazing. That's impressive.
Wait till you hear the next. Brains were 7.5 years younger.
Ah,
and the Mind Diet trumped the Mediterranean and the DASH diet in terms of protecting our brain. 2 times more protective, the Mind Diet, because Mediterranean and the DASH diet, they will slow or improve cognitive decline, but the Mind Diet is meant to protect the brain from even getting cognitive decline. So it's unbelievable. So the food at the end of our fork is critical. I mean, honestly, the most powerful, safest form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. What are you going to fuel your brain with? That's the question that I want to ask everyone tonight. Are you going to choose high quality food that's got vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, B vitamins, omega-3 fatty acids, the healthy fats, or are you going to fuel your brain with refined food, with processed food, with fried and fast food, with nitrates, with a lot of sugar? The choice really is yours, but the studies show that even if you don't follow the Mind Diet to a T, you still get a 35% reduction in risk of Alzheimer's disease. That is, I think, huge.
That is very huge. Absolutely. And you know this also, Sherry, that in the neuroscience world, for historically forever, people have been concerned most with 2 health things. One is cancer and one is heart disease. But that has changed over the last few years. And now worldwide, among all ages, people are concerned about losing cognitive function as we age. That means teenagers are concerned about having cognitive decline because they see it in their grandparents. That means people who are 20 and 30 and 40 something see it in their parents. For the first time, the whole world is concerned with brain health. So when you're telling me information like this, I'm saying, why wouldn't everyone choose to want to do healthy eating and put healthy things on the end of their fork? Would you tell us a little bit more about how we could do this? And is it hard? I mean, is it something we have to stop suddenly tomorrow and make all these changes in our lives? Or is there a way to do it that we could ease into it perhaps?
You know what? I think everything starts with mindset, Denise. I really believe that. So I had cancer, as you know, it was a very rare cancer. And, you know, for me, prevention wasn't an option for my type of cancer, but prevention of cognitive decline, dementia, and Alzheimer's is an option for all of us. And you know what? It isn't hard, Denise. I love educating people because what I believe is every small step equals significant health rewards. And what's good for the brain is good for the body. What's good for the body is good for the brain. So we all have the opportunity to just start making some small changes. So I'll give you a couple examples. So we know that fast and fried food is not good for us. So if we're going out and having fast and fried food, say 4 times a week, just doing it 3 times a week, you're going to get benefit. If you aren't eating whole grains and you add in a meal that has a whole grain in it, like say oatmeal for breakfast, and you're throwing a few blueberries in it, maybe some nuts, you're going to have a benefit. If you are not eating salads and then you start to incorporate maybe a salad even once a week, you're going to have a benefit. So it's not like all or nothing. It's the Mind Diet is very balanced. And what I want people to understand, it's just little things that we start with. We don't have to all of a sudden change our diet and eat 10 brain healthy foods and limit 5 brain unhealthy foods, right? We know the unhealthy foods are the high fat foods that come from four-legged animals, as I tell my patients, right? We want to eat more of the two-legged animals without the skin and those that swim, right? So if you're not eating any fish, start incorporating maybe a meal of salmon, adding like fresh broccoli with it, and maybe have a salad. There are just so many ways. We can throw some beans into soup, a casserole, a frittata. We can throw green leafy vegetables into anything. Smoothies, we can have, I just made a smoothie with spinach tonight, and I threw some berries in there. So there's just so many ways. The Mind Diet, actually, there's a cookbook out there. There's actually a book from Dr. Martha Claire Morris and her daughter, Laura, who's a dietitian, that has recipes. You know what? We all have choices. And so say you didn't do good today. You didn't eat healthy and you know it and you don't feel as good. You have tomorrow, right? We can't change the past. We can't predict the future. All we have is today. And so, you know what? If we actually think about what we're doing in every meal. So breakfast, you didn't eat well, we have lunch. Lunch, you didn't eat well, you have dinner. And if you didn't do good at all today, don't beat yourself up. Put that aside. Tomorrow's a new opportunity. Small changes, significant health rewards.
That's wonderful advice, because so many people say, well, I've tried diets. This is not a diet as
Right.
in I'm going on a crash diet and losing X number of pounds. This is a diet as I'm going to start incorporating more and more and more healthy foods into my life so that eventually I'm eating really healthy, however long that takes. And then that is a diet to change your brain. And that's critical, because brain health, many people don't realize that you can change your brain. We used to think we couldn't change your brain. Now we know from research that we can, regardless of our age. If you start eating healthy in your 80s or 90s, you can change your brain. If you start eating healthy when you're 15 or 20, then you have lots of time to make a healthy brain by choosing what's on the end of your fork, as you said, Sherry. So I really encourage people to consider that you are in charge. I talk about my show, Living a Graceful Life, as that it affects your body, your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. And of course, part of what is your body is also your brain, not just your mind. They're two separate things. So I want to live the best life I can. I want to enjoy what I want to do, my hobbies, my sports, my dancing, my grandkids, my pets. And I can't do that if I'm limited in my movement, for example. I can't do that if I'm limited in my memory or my brain and how it works. So I want to do, now that you're telling us all, it's that we can do something. It's a choice to do something that can help your brain health. Why wouldn't we all want to attempt to do that? And also, I love that you said, we don't have to do it all at once. We can, in fact, start incorporating, better food, more food, healthier food, take out some things that are not so great. And then suddenly, someday, whether it takes us a month or a year or however long it takes, we are suddenly eating better and doing better with this.
And you know what, Denise, you're feeling better too. It's so amazing when you're fueling your whole body and your brain with these high quality foods. You feel better. You have more energy. You have more motivation to do the things that you want to do. You start to see progress in your weight. You want to do more exercise. So it gives you a whole different outlook on your life, and you actually can feel the difference. And I think that's really important for people to know. If you're kind of in a slump, and we've been through a lot in the last few years, just making a few dietary changes is going to totally change the way that you feel and the way that you see things.
That's wonderful, and especially because so many people feel deprived if they don't get to eat everything that they like. And I love what you said about, if you messed up today, so to speak, and didn't do what you wanted to or hoped to, well, there's always tomorrow, or the next meal. And I think that's really important, because our culture has been very involved in crash diets. Because we are a culture of people who want to see results, and
Right
most of those
now.
diets, right? Most of those diets are based on losing weight, and so everybody, we don't even need to see a show of hands. Everybody has dieted at some time with the intention of losing weight, and they were either successful
I'll
or
admit
not.
it.
Right. And they were either successful or not. And when they weren't, maybe they were successful and lost a lot of weight, but that's another story that many, many people say. And then I gained it back. And then I went on another diet the next year and I lost it. And then I gained it back. And so I love the idea that this is not a diet, as in something that you do for a certain amount of time and then stop, and hopefully you succeed. You either succeeded or failed. But this is a diet that you choose to eat. It's a daily diet. It's a nutritional way of
It's
living.
a lifelong diet. So
Yes,
it's for the long haul. And that's what I tell people. You didn't get to where you are overnight. It takes time to go through this process. And I always tell people to enjoy the journey, because really we're on a journey and we should enjoy every part of it. And so, be creative, get excited, learn more, and just really enjoy the process and the journey that you're on, because it's a lifelong journey. And so, why not enjoy it, right?
exactly. And of course, the whole purpose of having a sharper brain, having a healthier brain, is to have a healthier life and a higher quality of life. That's what's important about this, that it's not about the way it makes you look, it's about the way it makes you function and the way it makes you feel. And so, I sadly, like you, I had a father. You had a father who passed of Alzheimer's. I had a mother who passed of Alzheimer's. And for those of you listening who know anyone, whether it's a family member or the family member of a friend or whoever it might be, we all know, sadly, someone in our lives who has cognitive decline. And it can be the most heartbreaking disease in the world to see someone you love go from a fully functioning cognitive adult to someone who, breaks your heart every time you look at them, because it's not your mom anymore. It's not your dad anymore.
I agree, and so that's why I think we both are so passionate, because we've seen the process and we can help people to lower their risk dramatically. So I really feel like this education is so important, and I'm so glad that you're sharing this with the viewers. And me, Denise, I'm all about two things: turning education into action. So I want to tell people that education is amazing, but unless you're taking what we're telling you tonight and you're doing something with it, it's just education. But if you're literally taking the education that we're telling you and you're doing something with it in small steps, it's life changing, it's life saving. And so that's one thing that I'm very passionate about. And the other thing is finding your why. And, we both have a why. And your why is your motivation, because life happens and all of these things happen in our lives and we kind of sometimes get off track, but that's okay, because it's a lifelong journey. But if you have something, you have a purpose of doing what you're doing, you stay focused on that purpose and you will be successful. We all can be successful doing this. We can all have healthier brains and bodies by just thinking about what we're putting at the end of our fork and making healthy, high quality food choices.
Absolutely. Um, I know that for example, my why of wanting to share people about living a more graceful life, and your why about why you want to share this kind of information with people, has to do with their parents. But I have another why, and I know you do too. I have grandchildren.
Yes.
I have grandchildren. I have adult children that are my stepchildren, and I want to participate in their life and fully and completely. I want to go to their activities and their events. I want to be there for them. And I do not want to ever be a heartbreak for them, or certainly a burden. I don't want my kids to have to take care of me, or make arrangements for me because I have gotten such severe cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, whatever it might be, or that I have physical limitations that won't allow me to do these things any longer. So that's a why also. And I'm sure everybody listening, if you think about it for a moment or two, you have a reason why you would not like to get cognitive decline or have that happen to you. And so when Sherry tells you things like, it can reduce your chance of getting Alzheimer's by 53% based on your diet. And even if you don't adhere very well to the diet, it can still lower your risk of getting Alzheimer's or dementia by 35%. I'm like, whoa. That's like great news. It should be shouted from the rooftops and on every television station everywhere, because that is huge information that you can do something to prevent cognitive decline or delay it.
Yes, I love your passion, because I feel so passionate about that myself. I would like to share a quote. I have multiple quotes that I love, but this one just kind of sums everything up. Is that I always, okay, so let me see. It's by John C. Maxwell, and it says, okay, hold on, because I always forget. I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm going to just make sure I get it right. So hang tight for a second. I should know this because I quote this every single time I speak, but I want to make sure I get it right. So what John Maxwell says is that you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. So it's those decisions that we make every single day, every single meal, every single snack that really determines, our health. And if we don't have our health, what do we really have? We can have everything in the world, but if we don't have our health, we don't have really anything, right? So
Right.
we need to prioritize our health, because we have one brain, we have one heart, we have one body, and we have to take care of it.
Absolutely. And one other thing that Sherry and I have talked about before is that there are really only two things that you need to have a good, healthy life, with a good quality of life, and to have a good, healthy brain, because the brain is in charge of all movement of the body. And of course, the brain is also what communicates with other people, what makes decisions, all those things that add to the quality of our lives. But the two things are nourishment. What kind of nourishment, as Sherry calls it, fuel, are you putting into your body and brain? And the other one is movement, because you must move in order to stay healthy. And as it turns out, the brain's primary purpose is to control movement. So anytime we have movement, it affects the brain, and the brain can directly affect movement by the way it converses with the body. So both moving and talking are critical, and eating are critical to our overall quality of health. And so some of you know that Ageless Grace Brain Health is about movement. And Sherry is not only a nurse and a diabetes expert and an educator and a speaker, but she's also an Ageless Grace Brain Health educator. And why is that? Well, she can tell you why did you become an Ageless Grace educator?
Well, I can tell you, I had a TV show, and it was on a cable station, and I heard from someone, oh, you need to have Maria Skinner come on your show and talk about Ageless Grace. And I'm like, Ageless Grace, what is that? So I had her come on my show, and she demonstrated Ageless Grace. I was hooked. I mean, honestly, you can literally do Ageless Grace for 10 minutes. You can recreate neural pathways. You can fire on new neurons, and you can do that at any age. Why would anyone not want to do Ageless Grace? It's silly. It's fun. It's to music. It's awesome. And you're getting so many brain benefits. So I'm like, I have to do this. I have to learn this. I have to teach this. So I was sold the minute Maria came on my show. She's
Awesome.
a trainer. She's amazing.
So happy to hear that. And so I'm going to show you, normally for those of you who watch the show frequently, I commonly go back there in that chair because all of the Ageless Grace program is done seated. And so I like to show you, and that's to engage the brain to figure out how to do things we normally do standing from a seated position. It's not because we're frail or old or have poor balance or anything like that. So I'm going to show you one today that is going to involve what we do from the waist up. It's called Express Yourself. And I'm going to put some music on, and we're going to play around with some of the ideas that Sherry gave us, because the whole idea of the Ageless Grace tools, as we call them, is to be spontaneous and creative and in the moment, just as long as we're moving, right? So when we do Express Yourself, not only does it activate the 5 primary functions of the brain, but it's also allowing us to actually move our spine and our shoulders and our fingers for dexterity, and it's helping us get into the idea of our arms begin here with the breastbone and conclude the collarbone, the top 2 ribs, and the shoulder blades. All this is our arm. So I'm going to put some music on, and I'm going to show you how to do Express Yourself and how it relates to what Sherry was talking about, what we eat today. So
I'm excited, Denise.
here's a little music, and we're going to start off, and we're going to pick apples off of the tree. So reach up and pretend you're picking apples. So right away you'll see, because apples are healthy, right? So right away you'll see that we're moving our entire arm, we're moving our chest, we're moving our back, and maybe some apples have fallen down on the ground, so you want to get down here and pick those apples up. Or how about, she mentioned berries, how about if we pick some blackberries off of the bush with our fingers like this, picking blackberries. And if you've never been picking blackberries before, well, now's your chance to do that. It's a fun thing to do for sure. And then how about if we put these blackberries on a little bit of non-fat yogurt, stir it up a little bit. Now, she also mentioned nuts. So let's stir with this hand, and let's pour in a few walnuts, for example, and let's stir up that bowl. I'm getting hungry just thinking about this.
And walnuts are really one of the highest unsaturated fats for us, so they're very brain healthy.
Yes. So moving our hands and arms like this is working our muscles, our ligaments, our tendons, right? But then we could also go out in the garden, and we might plant a garden because it's that time of the year to do those things. So let's get out our rototiller and let's rototill our garden up a little bit. And we're having visions of having a little carrots, or how about some lettuce and leafy greens, kale, collard greens.
Brussels sprouts. How about Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, Brussels sprouts, right. And then get your shovel out and dig a little bit in that garden, because we're going to plant all those healthy, wonderful vegetables. We could get them at the farmer's market, but we're going to do it yourself and create a little garden in our own backyard, right? Here we go. So for fun now, let's go back in the house and let's chop up some celery. Take your knife out and chop it up with one hand. And then in Ageless Grace, everything we do with one hand, we do with the other hand. So do it with the other hand as well. Good. Awesome.
You see why I love Ageless Grace? It is just so fun.
So it's playful, and it just gives us something to laugh about. It's very childlike. It's something you can do with your grandkids. If you'd like to know more about the tools of Ageless Grace, there are 21 of them, you can go to agelessgrace.com, and there's a free class that you can download and have and take with me on your screen, whatever that is. And then there are also events, and there are workshops and play shops, and there are trainings where you can learn to teach this program like Sherry did. There are also a playbook, flashcards, all types of things, and they're also available on winwinwomen.com. But one of the things that's on there is a program that Sherry and I have put together called Lifelong Brain Health Through Nourishment and Movement. And we have one coming up on March 25th. It's 3 hours long, and we have another one, the same program, but we have another opportunity to take it on March 30th. So if you go to agelessgrace.com and look under training and schedule, you'll see that you can sign up for this program that Sherry and I are doing. And it can, I'm not exaggerating, it can change your life. And as Sherry said, it might even save your life.
Yes, 100%. So in that program, Denise, so it's a 3-hour program, and it includes the recording. of the program. So if you sign up, you can't make it, you get the recording. You also get a 50-page booklet. You get a 21-day brain healthy challenge. So you can start today. Remember, we want to start today to change our tomorrows. So you can start this brain healthy journey. And there's a private Facebook group. So you have a whole community of people on this journey with you. So if you really want to change your life and you want to change your brain health, this course is definitely for you.
Definitely. And would you also tell them your website as well, Sherry, because they may want to go on and get more information about the different programs that you offer?
Sure. So my website is Diabetes Care with a K. So it's the word care, only it's spelled with a K, consulting.com. And you will see events. You will see Denise and my program on there. You will see a corporate wellness 12-month program. You will see continuing ed credits for nurses, social workers, case managers, and community programs. And you'll hear my story and you'll see why I am doing what I'm doing. And so check it out for sure.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for being a guest on Living a Graceful Life. And I just want to thank everyone who's watching. And I would like to say one more time, it's never too late to begin to make choices one step at a time to live the life that you want to live. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you, Sherry.